Greetings, everyone. This is Nyaniko Bhikkhu with a portion of the Abhayagiri Buddhist Monastery Sangha, Redwood Valley, California, and we'll be chanting a brief section of the Satipatthana Sutta, both in Pali and English, and from the beginning, ending at the Anapanabhabanititang, the in and out breathing section. So just these two brief sections, and we have all three levels of our ordination represented here. So we have bhikkhus, a novice, and 3 anagarikas. And as some of you watching this may know, there are these 3 levels if you want to ordain at Abhayagiri Buddhist Monastery. If you want to become a Theravada Buddhist monk in this particular lineage or this tradition, you have to be an anagarika, or in Thai, say pakau. Have to do that for 1 year minimum, and then samanera, or in Thai we say samanin, have to do that for 1 year. Then you have the opportunity to become a bhikkhu, and then there is a basic training for 5 years when we have a period of dependence known as nisaya. And so this is the basic training process at Abhayagiri, and we're all represented here. And so my understanding is this is for a worldwide Tipitaka recitation that's taking place, and this is also very good practice for us that we get to recite part of the Satipatthana Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 10 in Pali, and this is a rare occurrence for us, so we'll be doing it a little bit slowly when we do the Pali, and just slowly working through it, and then we will read out that same section in English by way of explanation. And as many people may know, the Satipatthana Sutta is one of the pivotal suttas in the Majjhima Nikaya. There's one version in the Majjhima Nikaya, one version in the Digha Nikaya, and this lines out the way of practice that it includes Anapanasati, but it's the way of practice which is especially praised in the Thai forest tradition of Buddhism, and especially the first part of it, mindfulness of the body, is a part that's very heavily emphasized. So it is a very important sutta to us. So without further ado, we will chant the first 4 or 5 minutes of this sutta slowly in Pali, and I'll start. Okay. Evam me suttam ekam samayam bhagava kuru suviharati kammasadam Namakurunam Niramo Tatrako Bhagava Bhikkhu Amante Siddhikavoti Padante Tite Bhikkhu Bhagavato Pachasosam Bhagava Etadavucha Ekayano Ayam Bhikkhave Mago Satanam Visuddhiya Soka Paridevanam Samati Kamaya Dukkha Domanasana Atangamaya Nyaya Sapadigamaya Nibbana Sasacha Kiriyaya Yadidam Chataro Satipatthana Katame Chataro Ita Bhikkave Bhikkhu Kaye Kayanupasi Viharati Atapi Sambhajano Satima vineya loke kapija domanasa vedana suvedana nupasi viharati atapi sampajano satima vineya loke apijado manasa citte cittanupasi viharati atapi sampajano satima vineya loke apijado manasa Dhammesu dhammanupasi viharati atapi sampajano satima vineya loke apijado manasa Katanca bhikkhave bhikkhu kaye kayanupasi viharati bhikkhave bhikkhu aranyagato va rukamulagato va sunyagaragato va Nisidati palangam abhujitva bhujungkaya paranidaya parimukam sati upadapito vaso sato vapassa sati sato vapassa sati ikam vapassa santo Dikam asasamiti pajanati dikam vapasasanto dikam asasamiti pajanati rasam vapasasanto rasam asasamiti pajanati Tirasam vapasasanto rasam pasasamiti pajanati sabhakarya patisamvedi asisamiti sikati sabhakarya patisamvedi Pasasi samiti sikati pasambayam kaya sangara pasasi samiti sikati pasambayam kaya sangara pasasi samiti sikati Seyata pipikave davo pamakaro va pamakaram deva siva dikam va anchanto dikam anchamiti pajana kirasam va anchanto rasam Anchami pajanati evameva ko bhikkhave bhikkhudikam va asasanto dikam asasimiti pajanati dikam va asasanto Ikam pasasamiti pajanati rasam va asasanto rasam asasamiti pajanati rasam va asasanto rasam asasamiti pajanati sabha sami tisikati sabakaya patisamvedi pasasi sami tisikati asambayangaya sankaram asasi samiti sikati asambayangaya sankaram asasi samiti sikati itiya cakam wakaye kaya nupasi viharati pahitawa kaye kaya nupasi viharati acata pahitawa kaye kaya nupasi viharati samudaya dhamma nupasi vakaya suming viharati vaya dhamma nupasi vakaya suming viharati samudaya vaya dhamma nupasi vakaya suming viharati atikayo Dewa Anasa Satipatthana Sutta Wadevanyanamataya Patisatimataya Anisito Chaviyaratina Chakinchi Loke Upadiyati Evam Liko Ekaveti Kukaye Kaya Nupasi Viharati. Now we will do the English. Thus have I heard. At one time, the Blessed One was living in the Kuru country, where there was a town of the Kurus named Kamasadama. There the Blessed One addressed the bhikkhus. Bhikkhus, venerable, the bhikkhus replied to the Blessed One. The Blessed One said this: This is the only path, bhikkhus, for the purification of beings, for the surmounting of sorrow and lamentation, for the disappearance of pain and grief, for the attainment of the true way, for the realization of Nibbana, that is, the four foundations of mindfulness. What for? Here, bhikkhus, a bhikkhu abides contemplating the body as a body, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. He abides contemplating feelings as feelings, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. He abides contemplating mind as mind, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. He abides contemplating dhammas as dhammas, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. And how, bhikkhus, does a bhikkhu abide contemplating the body as a body? Here, bhikkhus, a bhikkhu gone to the forest, or to the root of a tree, or to an empty place, sits down, having folded his legs crosswise, sets his body erect, establishing mindfulness in front of him. Ever mindful he breathes in, ever mindful he breathes out. Breathing in long, he understands, I breathe in long. Breathing out long, he understands, I breathe out long. Breathing in short, he understands, I breathe in short. Breathing out short, he understands, I breathe out short. He trains thus. I will breathe in, experiencing the whole body. He trains thus. I will breathe out, experiencing the whole body. He trains thus. I will breathe in, tranquilizing the bodily formations. He trains thus. I will breathe out, tranquilizing the bodily formation. Just as though bhikkhus, a skilled turner or a turner's apprentice, making a long turn, understands, I make a long turn. Making a short turn, understands, I make a short turn. So too bhikkhus, a bhikkhu breathing in long, understands, I breathe in long. Breathing out long, he understands, I breathe out long. Breathing in short, he understands, I breathe in short. Breathing out short, he understands, I breathe out short. He trains thus. I will breathe in, experiencing the whole body. He trains thus. I will breathe out, experiencing the whole body. He trains thus. I will breathe in, tranquilizing the bodily formations. He trains thus. I will breathe out, tranquilizing the bodily formation. In this way, he abides contemplating the body as a body internally, or he abides contemplating the body as a body externally, or he abides contemplating the body as a body both internally and externally, or else he abides contemplating in the body its nature of arising, or he abides contemplating in the body its nature of vanishing, or he abides contemplating in the body its nature of both arising and vanishing, or else mindfulness that there is a body is simply established in him to the extent necessary for bare knowledge and mindfulness, and he abides independent, not clinging to anything in the world. That, bhikkhus, is how the bhikkhu abides, contemplating the body as a body. So in this introductory section of the Satipatthana Sutta, it begins with, "Thus have I heard," and as with all the suttas, it lines out where the sutta took place and who gave the sutta, in this case the Buddha. Some of the suttas are given by the Buddha's great disciples, such as Sariputta, but this particular sutta is given by the Buddha, and it's in a town of the Kurus named Kama-sadama. And this phrase, "this is the only path, bhikkhus, for the purification of beings," one other way of thinking about that is that this teaching leads in only one direction, and it leads toward the realization of Nibbana. So the Satipatthana, the four Satipatthana, and in particular is lined out the first part of Anapanasati, the mindfulness of breathing, coupled with awareness of the body. So one thing worth pointing out in this first section is the simile that the Buddha uses of a turner making a short turn or a long turn. And sometimes people might wonder what that's referring to. So sometimes the Buddha would use similes to illustrate his point. In this case, he's illustrating the feeling of anapanasati, the feeling of noticing the long and the short breath going in and out. A turner is a lathe worker, so anybody familiar with lathes would know what a turner is, and a lathe worker, one who uses a lathe machine, is a turner. In the time of the Buddha, the lathes would have been treadle-powered, like a treadle-powered sewing machine, where you power it with a pedal with your foot, and at the same time you're holding a chisel and moving it back and forth across a turning piece of wood that's turning quickly. So as you put the chisel to it, it shaves off parts of the wood and makes it perfectly round. And so here there is some intentionality placed onto the breath, noticing whether it's long or short, noticing its qualities. And once you notice those qualities, then you start to train yourself by experiencing the whole body and by tranquilizing or calming the whole body. So just as a turner makes a long turn, where a long turn would be illustrated by the chisel moving all the way across the wood, all the way across, so you're noticing the whole breadth. A short turn would be the chisel going very short, just going into a very short section to make a groove in that turning piece of wood. And so a skilled turner can make a candlestick or a table leg out of wood, make whatever he wants, whether he's making a long turn or a short turn. If he's making a perfectly round rod, such as making a rail to hang robes on, then he would make a long turn and make it perfectly round all the way down. If he's making something more ornate and more intricate, like a candlestick, then he might do a series of short turns in order to make it more detailed at certain points. And so that gives us the idea of a long turn and a short turn. So when we have breathing in long, breathing out long, we can imagine making the breath round and complete, just like a turner making a long turn. Now the last part, the last paragraph, illustrates how we might just be just enough awareness of the body for bare knowledge and awareness. So if the mind is not in a mode of wanting to think too much, then we just think there is a body and it's like this in this moment. So this is a summary of this particular part of the Satipatthana Sutta.